when do we need battery power and when do we need gas power? One really cool thing about my job is that it allows me to test all kinds of different tools. Every brand, every platform, it's been really fun. Over the last 10 years that I've been homesteading, one really surprising thing to me has been my shift to reach for battery-powered tools 10 times as often as I reach for gas-powered tools. So let's talk about that. There are some really obvious benefits to using battery-powered tools. One of those being that they're a lot more quiet than gas-powered tools. Also, the fact that there's no gas, so you don't have to worry about oil mixes or bad smells, or even having to leave the homestead to actually get gas and come back and do the thing. For battery-powered tools, there's no engine maintenance. You don't have to winterize it or unwinterize it, and you can basically just put a battery in the tool and go. With most battery tools now, there really isn't actually the same compromise there used to be when it comes to powers. Most gas-powered tools are single-use items. You've got a chainsaw that's a chainsaw, you've got a weed eater that's a weed eater, but one really cool thing about battery technology is it's allowed a different kind of motor or drivetrain in the tool. The first big win for the battery versus gas debate for me was the weed eater. So I needed to be able to pick it up, grab, and go. No strings pulling, no gas filling or anything, and the longevity of use of the tool didn't really matter to me. But power did. The biggest selling point for this particular weed eater was its interchangeable attachment. It has a brush saw, a hole saw, and a tiller attachment. And that was the craziest thing for me because I could not believe a tiller could be run on battery power. The coolest part about this is how quick the change out is. Go from the weed eater to the tiller, line up those two arrows, tighten it up, put the battery back in, and we're good to go. As a lot of us are starting our homesteads, we're on a budget, so we don't want to buy the wrong tool and then never use it, or buy the most expensive version of the tool and then not use it enough to make up for the investment. But one cool thing about battery-operated tools is that you can take that same battery and plug it into a whole bunch of different kinds of tools. So the same battery that I've got in my chainsaw will also run my weed eater, my pole saw, my leaf blower, and everything else too. Another huge difference between gas and battery-powered implements in inclement weather is that in the cold, you don't have to worry about cold starting a gas-powered engine. You can just push a button and it goes. And also in hot weather, you're not having a hot engine blowing hot air on you while you're trying to use the tool. And even on that note, it can be really intimidating to have to understand how engines work and other things like that to actually be able to properly maintain gas-powered tools. While I think that is definitely a skill all of us homesteaders should learn at one point, we want to do these incrementally. So to have a tool that just works when we push the button the way that we want it to work is pretty great. And one last thing that I, as a very small person, should mention is that when there's no gas tank or engine that you're having to lug around, a lot of the battery-powered tools are a whole lot lighter and easier to wield than their gas-powered counterparts. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I'm definitely not a mathematician or a scientist, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you the small nuances in differences in power and amp hours and all those other things between a gas-powered and a battery-powered tool. But this is what I do all the time, so I can tell you about my experience, and my experience is that my battery-powered tools are just as powerful as my gas-powered tools in almost every instance. As homesteaders, we are all very busy people, so we want to do the thing as quickly and easily and as efficiently as possible. For me, personally, I want to remove every barrier to entry as I possibly can, and one of the biggest ways that I can do that for myself is to have my tools ready to literally pick up, walk out the door, and start using them. And that's one of the biggest reasons that battery power has won over gas power for me. I mentioned the benefit of never having to leave the homestead to get gas when you're using battery-powered things. You can just take them back and charge up the battery and then you're good to go. But the time that I do reach for my gas-powered tools is when I know that I'm going to be doing a full 8-hour day of something. I don't have the money to buy a whole bunch of batteries and just keep swapping those babies out all day long. And I don't have a generator that can charge batteries, but that is a great option if you do have that. There is that 10% of the time though that gas is really a better option. And that's when I'm going to do some big jobs that require a lot of runtime. I can just grab a gas can and go. The thing is though, that those are usually big jobs that also don't have battery tools to match them and aren't really the same kind of jobs that most homesteaders are going to be regularly doing. I'm a woodworker. Sometimes I help my friend Greg with his sawmill, which requires some big saws and some big logs, but a lot of us are not dealing with those kinds of things on any kind of a regular basis. For me, as I'm moving from gas power to electric power, the hardest thing for me to kind of wrap my mind around is maintenance. Because when I'm making an investment in a tool, I'm thinking about longevity. With a gas engine, I can take it apart and look at it and figure out what's wrong, and oftentimes, even though I don't really know what I'm doing, I can figure out how to make that thing go again. But with electric tools, there's a lot less visible potential issues. So like your battery tool stops working, well then what? I love Stihl tools. I've used them my whole life, and having a trusted company with all of my battery powered tools that I can easily get a hold of customer service, find the parts that I need, go somewhere where I can talk to an actual human who knows everything about these tools to get them fixed if they do malfunction, gives me a whole lot of peace of mind when I am using a tool that I myself don't know how to fix. And just really quickly, whether it is gas powered or battery powered, there are blades that we should learn how to sharpen. We do need to oil the things that need oil when they need oil. Last year, I needed a weed eater so I could do a quick 15-minute job in my garden. The battery power was a great option, no cords to pull, no noise, all that stuff. Because there's other tools on that battery platform, I've been able to use the heck out of that until I needed something else, then I went out and bought that. And that's the way that we should do things. Let's think about the things that we need right now and use what we've got to get the job done. A battery-powered saw can cause just as much damage as a gas-powered saw, and I'm not telling you that to scare you. I'm just saying, let's take safety seriously. Let's use all of our safety precautions, let's use the proper gear, and let's go out on our homesteads and have a whole lot of fun using our tools.